So I have never made a video like this before, venting about a company or a pedal. I consider myself generally a positive person who enjoys things, so I don't generally want to go on the offensive. But I've recommended this pedal to like a bunch of people on this channel before, and so it feels almost incumbent on me to have to make this video because I don't want to lead anybody astray with my recommendations. This thing broke on me, and I'm having the world's worst time figuring out what to do about it. And it is seriously dinging my opinion of Digitech as a company right now. So this is just like a quick PSA, I guess, for anybody that's considering checking out one of their pedals. Hopefully you don't have the same result that I did, but again, just kind of putting this out there as a warning. So the backstory is this. I bought this during the pandemic. It's a Digitech Drop. It's a pitch shifter. I've made several videos about it. It makes a pretty effective fake bass to like drop this down an octave and run a guitar through it. So I've recommended it for that. I've recommended it for playing in flat keys or something where you don't want to retune your guitar. It's a useful device. And I really do think that when it is functional, it is the best sounding version of that sort of thing. So I've recommended it in forums, and it's always been a go-to recommendation of mine. I had a brief issue with it in 2021, a little while, 6 months after I bought it or whatever, where it was making a weird electrical noise. And I'm telling this story as backstory for my real story because I want to show the difference in Digitech's customer service department between 2021 and now. I had an electrical noise or something coming through here. It was like when it was engaged, it would make a kind of weird like noise. And I contacted Digitech, and they had me send it in. They inspected it. I got the report back, and it said they had swapped out some components, made sure everything that could possibly have been the culprit got replaced. I think they gave me a new power supply, sent it back. I don't even remember if I paid anything for that. I might have paid like a service fee or something, but totally took care of me. Couldn't be happier with how that went. So one time I have had this acting up, sent it in for repairs, and it couldn't have gone better. And then, unfortunately, the company disappeared for a while after that. The parent company dissolved it or whatever it is exactly happened. And I remember being sad because I'm a lifelong Digitech fan. I think the third pedal I ever bought was a Jam Man looper. This is great. I've used the Mosaic on this channel a bunch. I like their stuff, and I was really sad to see them go away. But where that became immediately relevant to my situation was when this broke again. So that's the story I'm really trying to tell in this video. I think it was February 2023, so over a year ago now, I had a gig coming up where I needed to play, I think the song was in D flat or something, and I preferred, I can play in D flat if I have to, but I wanted the open string, the open D string as a drone note or something, and so I was gonna pitch shift it down half a step, and I went to fire it up and it doesn't work anymore. It powers on, the lights come on, but then if you engage the pedal, no sound passes through, so your guitar signal just cuts out like this. Normal guitar signal. So that's what it was doing and is still doing. And, for that gig, there was no time. I played the gig without it. But when I got back, I was thinking it through, and I was like, the service was so good last time I used Digitech customer support, but since then the company's gone out of business. So I'm like, I guess I'm just out of luck. Then I saw the announcement that Digitech was back, and there's a long, in-depth JHS channel video about it, but the company got bought by a different parent company or something. The original team came back. It was a big triumphant moment in the pedal community. They were like, Digitech's coming back. DoD is coming back. They're related companies. And I was so stoked. I had the thought, maybe I can get this fixed now. And I understood that like a company that's just coming back for the first time probably doesn't immediately have like a support repair shop or whatever. So I gave it some time. At one point I saw that Tom from Digitech was doing like a Q&A on something called the gearforum.com. So I created an entire account over there just to talk to him about this. And I was like, hey, is the support department coming back? And he kind of confirmed like, not yet, but we'll get there. And so I waited a while longer. I was like, they're just spinning up again after several years of being out of business, I understand. But eventually, like, the website came back. There was a support thing you could contact. And so I reached out and I was like, any chance I could get this fixed? Like, I'm happy to pay to get this fixed. I got this absolute form letter back, which whatever. But the link in the form letter where they were like, contact one of our dealers, goes to a list of guitar centers in my area. Nothing else, just Guitar Centers. I like Guitar Center as much as anybody does. It's a good store. It's a great place to pop into and buy like some drumsticks or a drum head. It fulfills a useful function in society, but it is not where you would take a complex piece of electronics to get repaired. And so when Digitech was like, take it to Guitar Center, I knew it was silly, but I did try it. And I walked in. The guy at Guitar Center was predictably like, what on earth are you talking about? Of course, we can't repair that. But he did try to help me. He was totally helpful. He hooked me up with the names of a couple of local amp shops, thinking like maybe they can work on it. I'm now calling local amp shops. The first one said, you should contact Digitech, which I was like, that's how I got here in the first place. But the second one said they were willing to try and work on it. So I drove like 40 minutes across town, dropped this off with this local shop, and then 6 months go by. Every so often I would call them and be like, I have a pedal in for repair. Is there anything happening with that? And they were like, no, not yet. Finally, I think it was 2 months ago, I called and I was like, look, is this ever going to get fixed? Is this a lost cause? And the shop was like, yeah, you should probably just come pick it up. It's not going to happen. And so I drove down there thinking I'm mad at the shop, kind of. And when I'm chatting with them in the shop, I find out the holdup was they keep trying to contact Digitech and get a part, which I was like, I could have told you contacting Digitech gets you like a form letter and nothing else. So anyway, I picked up my broken pedal from the shop. They told me without being able to get in touch with Digitech, there was nothing they could do. I paid the bench fee, so I'm now like even deeper in the hole on this thing. I tried Digitech one more time after getting this back from the shop, and I got the same link to a bunch of Guitar Centers. So it's now been over a year, and this is a paperweight that lives in my studio and does nothing. Why do I bring any of this up? Again, like, this is really out of character for me on this channel to go negative on a pedal or a company. That's not my vibe. I'm not trying to tell anybody else not to buy things. But this is like a $240 pedal that just sits in here in my studio and is broken and does nothing now. That's never happened to me before in like a decade of pedal flipping and trying stuff out for the channel, and the dozens or hundreds of pedals that have come through this studio in the last 10 years. I've never had the experience where something just fails and it's just a brick. So to have that happen with one of the more expensive pedals that I've bought in the last few years is galling. So part of this video is just to warn others, because Digitech is purportedly back. They're making these again, they're selling them again, and I've recommended them on this channel. And so if people, watch one of my other demos and are like, oh, I should try out that drop pedal, I kind of just want them to know what they might be getting into. I no longer feel confident recommending this company. The source of my exasperation with them is that they're back, because obviously if you buy a pedal from a company that's gone defunct or whatever, you don't expect any sort of support for you. You sort of know that you're taking your own risks there. But if you're going to purport to be an active company and you're willing to sell me things, but then there's just absolutely no recourse for me if the things that you sell me break, I kind of feel like people should know about that. If someone was thinking of buying this, I want them to have factored into their equations, might break. There's nothing you can do about it if it does. I've found other posts from people on forums and stuff that this has happened to, so I don't think that it's an isolated occurrence, although hopefully it's not common. The Drop, when it works, is a great product, and I want to still like Digitech as a company, but it seems like their stuff is fully unsupported. Like, if anything happens to it, you're just out the money. So part of it is that. Part of it is maybe just I needed to rant about this, because this is the only time it's happened in a decade of flipping pedals and owning pedals and loving them and making videos about them. Really leaves kind of a bad taste in my mouth. So if you're thinking of checking out a Digitech pedal, I hope it goes well. But Anyway, thanks for watching. Feel free to chime in the comments if you completely disagree with this take or if you have also had trouble. I'm just kind of sharing my experience out here because I'm not happy with where this ended up. Anyway, thanks for watching.